Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the new 2020 range from Airfix. Join me in this video as I take a look at what they've announced and what I think and feel about those kits. Hi, I'm Matt and you're watching Model Minutes. So I'm going to get straight into this and take a look at the new 2020 range from Airfix. So as per usual, you can go out and buy yourself a catalogue if you really want, but in this day and age, is there any point, seeing as you can get it all on the website? And today is the 6th of January 2020, which is launch day, and I know some of us have had a lot of trouble getting on the website. And I do believe that Airfix were a little bit delayed getting this released. They were supposed to release it at 3 PM, and it was up a bit later than that. So bear with me as I go through this. If the website becomes a bit laggy, I do apologise, but it's probably due to the high amount of traffic that Airfix is currently experiencing. So this is the entire list of things that are new for 2020. And what I'm going to do, as I quite like to do often, is to look at them by the cost. But unfortunately, as you can see, we've gone straight on to an error page. So let's go back and see if we can try again. Right, so as I said, we're back now. What I like to do is sort them by price, low to high, because I like to know what the cheapest kits are going to be and then what the most expensive are going to be. I don't really like the way that they recommend them because I feel like they're trying to push certain products onto me that I might not necessarily want. So when the web page has finally loaded that up, we'll be able to see what is the cheapest releases. And first up, we've got a P-40 Warhawk and a Hawker Hurricane Mark 1. So these are kits that have been part of the Airfix range for quite a while, and I imagine they'll be the most recently tooled version. This one is very similar to the Pearl Harbor version. You can find a video on my channel, and this one appears to be an earlier two-bladed prop version of the Hurricane Mark 1. We've got here the calendar, which is retailing at $8.99. And then we move on to some beginners kits. So a Tiger 1, which apparently is a new tool. So let's see if we can get a quick look at that if the website decides to load it. Which it doesn't appear. We'll come back to that. So moving on down, we've got some more beginners kits, and I'm led to believe that these beginner kits are going to be simpler and easier to construct, but it makes me wonder if they're going to be missing out on detail. So here we've got a red arrow set, and you can see that it's got a nice display stand that comes with it. It looks a bit like the shadow of the aircraft and is inserted into the back near the exhaust, or possibly even in the exhaust vent. Moving on, we've got a new Tiger 1 kit, a Spitfire Mark 5, a beginner's set Sherman Firefly, and a Spitfire beginner's set. So let's take a look at the Spitfire as well. The Tiger set has loaded up, and as you can see, it does look quite simple. I imagine it's probably an improvement on the Vintage Classics version. I'm not entirely sure it's up to the standard that we're sort of expecting from newly tooled kits from Airfix. I get that they're trying to introduce more people to the range, but I guess we'll have to see what these things are like when they come out. So here we go. Here's the Spitfire Mark 5 in the beginner's set, and I don't really know how I feel about this. It looks to be very simple. I'm not entirely sure what's going on in the cockpit there. Is that a fogged up glass from the glue, or is that like a pilot figure in there? I'm not entirely sure. The paint scheme, I really hope that this paint scheme is like a pre-release version. They haven't actually finalized the paint scheme and the decals, because this looks incredibly simple and, if I'm honest, a bit cheap. The paint job is alright, but as you can see, it doesn't look to be a very well-detailed Spitfire. I mean, you can get better Spitfires from other manufacturers. You can even get a better Spitfire Mark 1 from Airfix. But it does come with this display stand, which looks a bit like a shadow or a silhouette. But for $9.99, seeing as you can get a normal Airfix Spitfire for £6 or £7, I guess I'll have to just see how it is. I'm not really too excited about that. I'm sort of not sure how I feel. Right, well, let's carry on. Let's keep going. We've got the Sherman Firefly, which is a new tool, which also it looks like the beginner's one. And then we've got Gun Mavericks P-51. So I imagine this is going to be the 1/72 scale P-51 that has recently been introduced to the range. You know, you've probably seen it a few times on my channel. And Top Gun, because obviously there's a new film coming out about Top Gun, and Airfix are jumping on the bandwagon there. We've got new quick builds, small starter sets which look to be re-releases. We've got a new tool, quick builds here. I'm not too interested in those. You know I'm not a fan of quick build kits. Moving on, we've got some new cars, but they're re-releases. We've got a Hawk coming back into the range in a different paint scheme. And let's move on to page 2. So as you can see, the prices are actually creeping up now. We've gone from the £6 and £7 of the cheapest ones, and now we've pretty much doubled that. And now it's all well and good that Airfix are saying that they've got these new things coming out for 2020, but I think we're still waiting on some of the stuff they released in their 2019 announcement. Like some of their vintage classic kits, you know, the aircraft, for example, they've not actually been released yet, so I'm still waiting for those. So here we are, £15. We've got more Top Gun aircraft, a F5 Tiger and a Skyhawk. We've got another quick build kit, but I'm not really interested in those. And now we're coming down to the vintage classics. These are the sort of stuff that have been in the range for a number of years. They've been mothballed and brought back out again. We've got a variety of aircraft here. And to be honest, I'm quite looking forward to building some of these because I never actually had to go the first time they were out. We've got some more re-releases down here, and then over here we've got the beginner's set of aircraft, but as a gift set together. Moving on, we've got a new version of the Beaufighter, another Top Gun aircraft, this time the F-18, which apparently is a new tool, and then we've got a Beaufort as well, a brand new tool Beaufort, which actually I'm a little bit interested in because I don't think I've ever actually built a Beaufort. It's sort of similar to the Beaufighter. They share similar design aspects along with the Blenheim, but a new Beaufort in 1/72 scale should be absolutely interesting. 1999, it's not due until autumn 2020, so that's ages away. As you can see, there's only a 3D rendered image. It doesn't appear to be the actual sort of pre-production build as far as I'm aware. Maybe it is. It just looks very sort of computer rendered to me. And a bit more information down the bottom here. So let's move on, let's keep going. A beginner's set of the Tiger and Sherman Firefly, another Top Gun aircraft, the F-14, which is obviously the most popular one. We've got a dogfight double. This is the first one we've seen. We've got a Wildcat and a Zero in it. That'll be pretty cool to get. Another version of the Nat. I think I've got 4 of these already. And a Supermarine Spitfire Mark 14 in race schemes. That should be really interesting because you don't normally get to see aircraft or particularly Spitfires in paint schemes like that. And for that price, it should be the 1/48 scale kit. Moving on, we've got re-releases of the Hurricane, Spitfire, Bolt and Pull Defiant, Spitfire Mark 1, and these should all be 1/48 scale kits. If they're not 1/48 scale, I'm going to be incredibly surprised, seeing as they're asking £23 for them. And finally, on to page 3. So we're on the end now. We're getting towards the end. We've got another dogfight double. So we've got a P-51 and an ME-262, which are both the more recently tooled versions. I've just clicked on that by accident. We've got the Blackburn Buccaneer, which is the new tool version. We've got a M3 on pre-order, and I'm not entirely sure that these are their own versions of them. They're 1/35 scale kits, but I think they're reboxes from another manufacturer. We've got a dogfight doubles here of a MiG-17 and Skyhawk, which will be quite interesting. The Endeavour here, and then we've got some tanks, which I really hope are 1/35 scale because they are £30. But let's take a look at it. So the Cromwell Mark IV for £30. So we scroll down. Yeah, it looks really nice. There's some really good details on there. I built the 1/72nd scale kit not long ago, or was it 1/76? I can't remember. Airfix are a bit weird with their scales in tanks sometimes. Scrolling down, blah, blah, blah. Oh, 1/72nd. 1/72nd, and they want £30 for it. That can't be right. There's no way that this kit would cost £30 and be 1/72nd scale. I mean, this kit would only be a couple of inches long. And if we come down here, you've got the dimensions, and the length is 18 centimeters by 8 centimeters. Well, that's longer, like, than one of those short rulers you have, because a short ruler is only 15 centimeters. And this has to be a mistake. This here, it has to be 135. So as you can see, Airfix have probably made some errors on their website as they've been uploading these, and I really hope they've made an error here, because I do not want to spend £30 on a tank kit and it be 1/72nd scale. Right, let's move on. So another Cromwell, which for some reason, oh, they've got different barrels on the guns, that's why. Okay. We've got the Canadair Sabre F4. We're moving on to a re-release of the Avro Lancaster. We've got some more cars as a collection, which actually that one might be quite good to get, so you can get all three if you're interested in cars. We've got some more tanks or armoured vehicles, which again I think are reboxes of other manufacturers. I don't think these are initially Airfix designed kits. And now we're going on to a gift set of the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, which it says it's a new tool, but there will be kits in there which are new tools. Probably not all of them, but at least one. A Bristol Blenheim, King Tiger, and the re-releases of the Supermarine Spitfire and Messerschmitt 109 in 1/24 scale. And I'm pretty sure, because they've got these little V's next to the codes, those are going to be vintage classics. So a 1/24 scale kit for £50. That's all right, but these are quite old as far as I'm aware, and they probably will show their age now. Moving on, we've got a Type 45 destroyer, again another re-release, and this one here, the Avro Vulcan B2, which is a brand new tool in 1/72nd scale. And I am in two minds over this. I think that it would be a fantastic kit for me to get and to build and to feature on my channel. But at the same time, I can't really afford to spend £60 on a model kit at the moment. And I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to have the space for it all the time, because it's going to be absolutely huge. Moving on down, we've got the Gloster Javelin, and I've actually got one of these in my stash from the first time it was released about 3 or 4 years ago. I think it might be a bit longer than that actually. But yeah, I've got one of those. So I know what's inside the box, and I think actually that's a really good kit. But I've done an unboxing video on it yet, and I haven't even built it, so I guess we'll have to see. And then we're on to the last two kits, and they have been part of the Airfix range pretty much, you know, for donkey's years. The Hawker Hurricane Mark 1 and the 1930 4.5 litre Bentley. So that's it. We've got 3 pages. There are 71 kits which are being added to the Airfix range. As you can see, some of these are not expected until the summer or even the autumn. I mean, we're still waiting for stuff that hasn't been released from the 2019 range yet. So I think Airfix need to pull their fingers out a little bit and get on with that. But if they can deliver on everything that they're promising here, it should be an interesting year. The only thing I would possibly mention is that for someone like me who likes to build inexpensive kits, and I know they're still going to have inexpensive kits in their range, but these are just the new ones they're talking about introducing, I feel like having just 2 in the £7 range is not great, especially if you're on a budget, especially if you're new to the hobby. You don't want to spend too much on something that you might potentially mess up, and it might dishearten you from buying something a bit bigger and a bit more expensive. I've got my reservations about the Spitfire and the Hawk, the Tiger, these beginner sets, because I feel like they probably might not be as good as they should. Are they going to be better or worse than the Vintage Classics ones? I guess we'll just have to wait and see for when they come out. I mean, when is this due? Spring 2020. So actually, it's not supposed to be long until we get this one. It looks alright, but it looks sort of cheap and plasticky, and especially if I'm spending £10 on it, I'm not sure that it's going to be worth the money. But you know, I might be surprised. It might be absolutely fantastic. It might be the best kit I've ever built. So I'll put a link to this in the description, and I'm sure that by now you've probably all had a look on there and started filling out your wish lists of what you want to go and get from the shop when they're finally released. I'm sure some of you have already pre-ordered your kits, but that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you're most excited about, the ones that you really want to get this year, and the ones that you feel a little bit let down by, because I know obviously there are some that I'm not particularly keen on. Before I sign off, honourable mention goes to my patrons. A massive thank you to you for your continued support. It is completely invaluable, and I would not be able to run this channel without the patronage that you provide to me. To find out what pledging your support would mean and the additional perks you would get, take a look at the link in the description. All that's left to say is a massive thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the workbench again next time.